Welcome back, everyone, to Flyball and Friends. Flyball is something my next guest can talk about for hours. I've seen her lots around Flyball, but this is the first time I've actually got to sit down and chat with her. Please welcome Kate. Welcome, Kate. I'm so glad that you could spend your day with me. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
I live in Ringgold, Georgia. I play Napa and Flyball on 2 different teams. I've got 2 5-year-olds, twins, boy and a girl, a husband who works all the time, and 5 dogs.
How many of the dogs are racing?
Currently 3 of them, the middle 3. So the old guy is retired and the young one is up and coming. She can race, she just doesn't realize it yet. So she'll get there.
Excellent. How long have you been playing for, Kate?
I have been playing for almost just over 16 years now. Started way back with my golden retriever, and she was a natural, and that hooked me immediately. You know, it was immediate gratification. She knew how to play, I had no clue, and here we are today.
That's awesome. What do you do for a living?
Right now I'm a stay-at-home mom, and that is not for me. I am on leave because of COVID-19, but in real life, which is not now, in real life, I work for a company called Veterinary Management Consultation, VMC, based out of Colorado. And it is basically a consulting firm for veterinarians only. So we do HR and financial and operational type consultations for vets all over the country and Canada and Australia.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
So you said that your golden retriever knew how to play flyball before you even got it, but what got you actually involved in the sport?
So, and when I say she knew how to play, it was like it took her 6 weeks and she knew how to play. But what got me into the sport is kind of funny. One specific guy named Sean Garner, I was friends with him just from seeing him in obedience classes and rally classes and things like that. And my now husband, boyfriend at the time, we broke up for a couple of months and I was bored. I was like, I've got to get a hobby. And he was like, well, I think that Emma will be really good at flyball. I was like, what's flyball? That sounds stupid. But I went and tried it out. And I'm famously quoted by someone for saying, like, this is fun, but I don't ever want to like travel or be real serious about this. So here we are 16 years later.
Yeah, so that went out the window.
Right, that was not correct.
When you first started playing, was there a dog out there that you just loved to watch that got you hooked?
There were a couple, very different reasons why. One was a border staffy named Dealer on the Gamblers. And he was the type of dog that just, like, you didn't even know if he was gonna go. He looked like he had no personality standing in the lane. And you're like, is that dog even gonna go in the lane? And then they would let him go and he was like 3'7", 3'7", 3, back when that was not a normal thing.
Yeah.
So that was one of them. Others were pets at the time. You know, nobody would know their names, but it was nice to see people out playing with their dogs, and that was inspiring to me for normal people with normal dogs, fast, slow, whatever, to be out there and be competitive at whatever level they wanted to be. So it was less of a specific dog and more of just people playing with their pets that was appealing to me.
Awesome, that's a good thing. How often does your team practice?
In real life or in Corona life?
Let's go real life.
Okay, real life, I would say 3 times a month. I have a box and, you know, a wall board and everything at home, and so I might do it more frequently here. But right now, we just opened up practice again last week with, as long as we have less than 10 people. So right now, it's going to be probably twice a month, and that feels awesome even at that point right now. So
that's good. That's good for you guys that you can get back to practicing.
Yes. Yep.
How often do you guys go to tournaments?
NAFA Club, usually there's one a month,
yeah.
Maybe average 10 a year. you fly, I mean, considering my distance from Michigan, obviously, I don't get to play with them as much, but I typically, you know, I do championships, Escanaba, and then typically 2 others with them throughout the year, at least, is what I try to do.
Wow. It definitely sounds that Escanaba is a big place, and everyone has recommended that one to me.
I'm repping it today. I'm trying to will it to happen this year. I don't think it's gonna, but I'm willing it.
It's on my flyball bucket list now, so I'll try and make it at some point.
It should be. It's one of the trips where, I mean, every time I get in the van and I'm like, okay, off to Escanaba, my 17-hour road trip, you know, and I get in the car and I'm like, do I even have the dogs? Like, it's about flyball, obviously, but it's so much more than that. It's huge fundraisers for those shelters. Those shelters just, they think we hung the moon coming there and helping them. And it's a blast. It's the same faces every year. Members of the general public have learned how to box judge, and they will come and sit all weekend long and box judge. Like, it's a whole community event. It's a blast.
That's awesome. So Now, speaking of the 17 hours, what is the farthest you've traveled for flyball?
That's the farthest. Wait, no, Nebraska was about that long. Okay. I've kind of wiped that from my memory. So I remember on that trip with my friend Hannah, it was, 10 o'clock at night or something, and she woke up from taking a nap because she famously naps the whole way on trips. And I remember her waking up, and we had just gotten into Iowa, and she said, are we even supposed to go through Iowa? Like, we didn't even know where we were going, really. So Nebraska, but Escanaba is probably the farthest.
And for Nebraska, was that for the championship that year?
It was. Yep.
That's good. I remember you then. I was there for Nebraska.
I think that was my first championship with Rude Dogs, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. The kids have wiped my memory clean, so I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so what would be one of the most important things you learned when you first started playing flyball?
When I first started playing, I think that the hardest thing for me to comprehend, the best thing that I learned, was that it's, and it sounds like a no-brainer, but it's a team sport. And nobody can play without me, nobody can play without the other people on my team, and that we all have to be as invested in each other as we are in our own dogs. And I think that was what was appealing to me about it. Having a group of people who loved the same thing that I did became very important to me. So I think that just learning the aspects of being on a team with my dog as an individual and having all of these different goals floating around, but we all came together in the end, I think that was probably one of the most important things I learned when I started.
Awesome. Okay, now out of all the dogs that you've ever run, was there any one dog that you enjoyed running over the others?
Okay, that's like an impossible question.
That's fine. I've had that question denied a lot of times because there's always different reasons on different dogs of which ones you're running, so.
There are different reasons, and Enzo, my brown border staffy, is not just my favorite to run, he's a lot of people's favorites to run. And the reason being is he is so happy just to do it for you. He loves it. He's like, yes, you're playing with me. I love this. He's just thrilled over the moon, no matter who's running him. So it's not personal. Like, he doesn't love me more than anybody else. Actually, I think he likes Sue Ethier the best. But anyway, so, and then, my Golden, wouldn't have traded running her for the world. There was just a different feeling, a different bond with that dog because she was the first. Vito, my border staffy, he was just, he was just always over the top and fun. But then now, there's my younger border whippet who is nothing but power, sometimes to his disadvantage. And that's a different feeling. And so I feel almost the same bond with him that I felt with my Golden. And so literally, not to be cheesy, but it almost makes me cry when I run him because there's such a connection there. So I remember sitting in the ring. This is cheesy, and people are going to be like, we don't want to hear your story. But I'm going to tell it anyway. Okay. We were sitting in the ring at the championship last year. And it was his first year on the championship team. He was like 2.5 or something. Or yeah, he just turned 2.5, whatever. And the other team, we were having to wait for the other team for whatever reason. And I was like, this is going to be a nightmare. I was so mad we were having to wait. And I get a temper over things like that. And I was like, my dog is going to be exhausted by the time they get here. And man, I was on fire. And then I saw someone, Rachel Brinkman actually, I saw her just sitting on the ground petting her dog. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to calm down. And I'm just going to sit down on the ground. And I'm just going to tell my dog how pretty he is and how much I love him. And you know what I mean? Like I just like sit down and I have this lovely conversation with my dog. And that race was the fastest heat he ever ran. After all that waiting. And I was like, you know what? Maybe she's on to something. Maybe the calmness is what we need here and not my psychosis. So
That's good. All right. Now, would there be any place in the world that you'd love to still go, whether it's compete, train, or just watch?
So I somehow, even with being on a team in Michigan, I've never played flyball in Canada. Never.
Oh.
So that seems like a lame goal, but I need to do that. It's really important. So I don't really, like, I'm not interested in going overseas, things like that. I liked the vibe when I got to play in Texas a couple of times. That was fun, but I think really going to Canada and playing up there is my next goal.
What do you specifically like about playing flyball?
That is a giant question. That's a lot. So of course I like the bond with my dog and all of that stuff. That's fantastic. I love to train almost more than I like to compete. So really I like practice probably more than tournaments, except for the human aspect of it. So I love my team members on both teams, and I like the social aspects of it probably the most. So at one point in time, I thought about being a U-Fly judge, and then I was like, you know what? There's no way. I can't walk around and be social if I'm a judge. So I don't want to be stuck in one place, so I'm not going to be a judge. But the social aspects of it, the just community aspects of it, I really like. I feel like you know, for instance, when my dog was sick recently, I felt like I had 1,000 people in my community around me supporting me about that dog, because that's my flyball family. And flyball family may be in California or Canada or right next door, but it's one big community, and we all come together when we need each other. And I think that's something that not many have. It's important.
Yes, for sure. Kay, would there be any one team or maybe one person out there that you enjoy racing over others?
So I've thought of this answer. There are a couple of different people that I enjoy racing against. Doesn't mean we often beat them,
Yeah.
but I enjoy racing them. So I enjoy, love-hate, enjoy racing Craig, because he's always heckling, but you can heckle him right back.
Yeah.
You know, it's just fun, and you feel like it's just pure fun when you're out there. Sometimes you're like, shut up, Craig, but sometimes you're like, yeah, well, I'm gonna get you too, you know? So it's just, but I always enjoy racing him. Somebody else that I just started racing last year that I enjoy racing a lot, because I just find that he's so kind and complimentary, and he's not full of himself, and is Wayne Lowry. The first day I met him, he came over in the middle of a race and he was like, your dog is so nice. I'm like, thanks. Who are you? Like, I don't even know you. And from that day forward, like, he makes you feel, I I don't know, like your buddies the second you talk to him. And so he's fun to race. Who else? There are so many. I always like racing Hyperflight because they always have like a mob of people around their start dog and it cracks me up. That's probably it. There's so many for so many different reasons, but I'll stick with those for now.
That's fair. Okay, now would there be any special memory that you remember like in your early days?
One special memory I have with my NAFA club, I'd been playing for maybe a year. I had never traveled for a tournament. I really didn't know what I was doing. You know, I mean, I knew how to let my dog go, but I didn't know much beyond that at that point. And I traveled with 2 team members to a tournament in Florence, South Carolina. And it stormed the entire way. I don't know why this one sticks out. It's storming the entire way. And all of our dogs ran terribly. Like, you know, it's one of those where you come home with like 11 points for the weekend or something, you know? And I remember I was driving and there were 3 of us in the car and our 3 dogs. And it literally like poured down rain the entire time. Dogs ran bad. We were given like, I mean, not to downplay the prize that was given, but we were given a lanyard. And it was a cool lanyard, you know, it had like Flyball stuff on it or whatever. But one of the people I was traveling with was like, we did all that for a lanyard. Like all that was for, and that's still a joke now, 16 years later, when we have a bad tournament. We're like, well, we could have had a lanyard. Like, so that one stuck out to me because at the end of the trip, as terrible as it was, I was like, let's do it again. Like, you want to go next weekend? Like, I knew I was hooked because even when it was terrible, I just loved it. I loved every second of it. So that's one strange little silly memory that sticks out to me.
That's good. Usually around here, we're like, yeah, we play for dog cookies.
Yep. And down here, like now, we do a lot of like, we serve a meal instead of even giving prizes. So I don't know, I feel like people down here are often kind of worn out on prizes, and so we do other things instead, which is fine with me. Feed me.
That's cool.
Good.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. I'm going to bring that up to our team.
Bring it up. Tacos. Taco bar is the easiest. Just
there you go.
Yeah.
That's good. And then you can have like a dance after and stuff, right? Like you could do something.
Yeah, totally. We do lots of fun, silly games and things like that at our tournaments down here. They're often themed and it's fun. It's fun.
Excellent. Okay. Now, what would be one of your favorite memories, whether it's on or off the racing lanes?
That is such a hard question. I remember the last time I was this is like a sentimental one. The last time I was in the lane with my golden retriever and the last time I was in the lane with Vito, my border staffy. And those moments are so different than any other moment in the ring. It's like it's flashing before your eyes their entire racing history and how far you've come and the people that you've met through them. And so those 2 moments specifically have stood out. You know, off the lanes, Lord, there's so many. I can't even begin on that one. You know, we have some really traditions, especially in Escanaba. Last year, Slip and Flip was probably one of the funniest nights of my entire life. So, you know, making a Slip and Flip team and competing, and we're all, you know, it's basically like Flyball lanes, but with beer and Flip Cup. And we're all so competitive and crazy and heckling each other, and it was a blast. We came in second place in Paul Buster Girls, of course. So I couldn't flip a cup to save my life. It was my fault. So usually
responsibility for that.
Right. I own that and I'll just move on. My teammates, they're a little upset still, but you know, hopefully they're not watching.
Okay. Do you have any personal goals playing the sport?
Again, so many. For myself, just speaking selfishly, I right now, the immediate goal is for my baby Whippet to play.
Yeah.
Happily. My goal is to continue to maintain my 2 older dogs that they can keep playing. And I love to take them to practice in tournaments because they get to train newer flyball people in the lanes.
Yeah.
But I think that my Whippet is my primary personal goal right this second. I just became the manager of our local NAPA club, so I should probably come up with some other goals.
You got time to kill right now.
Oh yeah, sure. Those 5-year-olds, they just parent themselves.
I hear you. That'd be tough doing twins.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But at the same time, right now, they're out there playing together. So there are plus sides to it as well, of course.
That's good. All right. Now, when you first started playing flyball, did you look up to anyone as a mentor, or maybe even now you have someone as a mentor?
Absolutely. In the beginning, there were just some local people, but when I realized that I had the bug, when I caught the flyball bug, my first mentor was Paul Ferlito. And Paul taught me funny things like how not to obnoxiously cheer in the lane when you beat someone, and how not to over celebrate. You know what I mean? He just taught me some of the things like that. His wife took Vito and started his box turn for me. And, it's just, they kind of were the beginning of my more advanced flyball skill community. And then from there, it went to someone who's a very good friend now. And I just, everyone looks up to her in some way, shape, or form for her knowledge, not only of flyball, but just of dogs and behavior and handling. And that's Connie Skalski. So just the overall picture, I mean, she's been playing for 100 years, which you probably just killed me for saying that, but it's true. And there are a lot of experiences there that she learned from, and she is passing along that information as we go, and basically teaching me, whether she realizes it or not, how to be a better competitor in a lot of different ways.
Awesome. Okay, so now outside of playing flyball, do you have any fun hobbies other than looking after your children?
No. Who has time for things outside of flyball? You're doing it wrong.
No, we play badminton once a week.
Oh, once a week. Okay, once a week. Right now, my pastime is like a strict schedule of Zoom calls with my grandmother, with friends, with my family. We do a lot of activities with my husband's family. Almost all of them live here in town. And so we are constantly at one of their houses for someone's birthday or someone's something. So, I mean, really, that's it. It's mostly dogs and family for us.
That's good. Usually goes hand in hand, dogs and family.
That's right. We do. We are in a Frisbee league, a disc league. So we, when it's going, we have that one night a week. So that's fun, but that's about it.
Wow.
Lame.
Okay. That's okay. All right. Would there be anything that you would recommend to someone starting out in flyball?
Every dog is different, and to find someone who can train you the way your dog needs to be trained. So I've seen people come in and everyone wants to pigeonhole their dog or their training into one specific method, and it doesn't always work. And I think that's been the benefit for me of being on this NAFA team here, is that it's not just border whippets and sport mixes. It is, the standard poodle and the whatever else, the Amstaff, all these dogs, and they all take a little bit of something different to train. So I think that if I was new, or if I was telling someone who was new, I would advise them to look for someone who's going to work with their dog and not force their dog into their own method.
Awesome. That's a good way to put it. I like that. All right. Now the fun question. I would like you to challenge someone not on your team to do an interview with me. I know you've given me lots of names already, but now I want it on video.
Okay, so there are lots. And I thought of a new one this morning.
Okay.
So I think that Jenny Pike would be a good one.
Okay.
From Hyperflight, because she's been through some Hyperflight transitions, and I think she would have an interesting perspective there. She also started with, you know, her pet dog, Hank, who was just a little fat butterball at the time. And so, you know, now she's gone to a house full of sport mixes. So I think that she'd be a fun one to talk to.
Excellent. I will reach out to her and hopefully get her on here.
Sorry, Jenny.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I said, sorry, Jenny.
All right, so other than that, I got nothing else. So thanks again for doing this with me. And hopefully we'll get to see you on the racing lanes again real soon.
Hopefully soon. I can't wait.
Thanks again, Kate. It was great to finally get to talk to you and learn more about this crazy game you love. I'm glad we found the time to do the interview, and I can't wait to see you again. If you guys are new here, make sure you press that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss any new videos that I get to post. Hit that like button if you enjoyed today's interview, and leave a comment on maybe a team that you'd like to see, or maybe you have any questions about Flyball, or whatever else you might want to hear on the channel. If you guys like some more information on Flyball, make sure you check in the links in the description below. Until next time, see you then.